Luffy's Gear 5, the Peak Awakening, has been portrayed as the ultimate freedom, both in power and expression. However, recent developments in One Piece, particularly in Chapter 1142, suggest that Nika may not be just a force of liberation, but also a force of destruction. Could Luffy lose control of this power? Could there be an evil Nika lurking within the fruit? Let's dive into this theory. The Nika fruit grants its user unparalleled abilities, freedom of movement, reality-warping strength, and an almost comedic disregard for the laws of physics. However, freedom itself is a double-edged sword. While Luffy embodies the playful and heroic side of Nika, what if the fruit has another, darker side? Ancient Elbaf folklore shows that people both feared and worshipped Nika. This suggests that Nika's legend wasn't just about being a savior, but also about destruction. If we consider that the fruit itself grants its user limitless creative potential, what happens when creativity turns destructive? With that, we come to our second point, the fear of Nika in Elbaf and Destructor Nika. Elbaf's reaction to Nika is particularly interesting. Giants, who value strength and honor, seem to fear this entity. This fear isn't just because Nika is powerful, it's because they might have seen a version of Nika that was out of control, bringing chaos instead of freedom. This leads us to the idea of Destructor Nika, which roughly translates to Child of Destruction Nika. If Nika represents boundless freedom, could there be a scenario where this freedom spirals into uncontrollable destruction? If Luffy ever loses control of his emotions, his awakened state might turn into something far more dangerous. This aligns with the theme that too much power without balance can lead to ruin. Even Roger, who had ultimate freedom, chose not to act recklessly. But Luffy? He's still growing, and his emotions often dictate his fights. If he reaches a breaking point, we might see the birth of an uncontrollable Nika. One of the most chilling hints came in Chapter 1142, where children in Elbaf were seen drawing an evil Nika. Moments later, a sinister version of Nika seemingly manifested. But what if this wasn't just a coincidence? In One Piece, belief and willpower shape reality. The Nika fruit seems tied to the perception of the world. If enough people fear Nika, could that fear manifest into reality? This raises a terrifying possibility. What if Nika isn't just a power but an idea? One that can shift based on how the world perceives it. If Luffy's awakening is tied to freedom, then what happens if the world starts believing in a darker version of Nika? If belief shapes Nika's existence, then what happens if people start seeing Nika as a villain? Second, a possible duality within the fruit. Could the Nika fruit itself have two sides, a liberating Nika and a destructive Nika? If so, then Luffy's transformation might depend on his emotional state. If his will wavers, or if he taps into uncontrolled rage, he might awaken something far more terrifying than we've ever seen. This would be a parallel to many mythical figures who embody both creation and destruction, such as Sun Wukong or even Hindu deities like Shiva, who dances both to protect and to destroy. The idea of Luffy losing control of his powers has been teased before. When he first awakened Gear 5, he was overwhelmed by the sheer joy of the transformation. But what happens when that joy turns to rage? If an external force, perhaps the deaths of a loved one, extreme betrayal, or desperation pushes Luffy to the brink, we might see him transform into a chaotic version of Nika. Luffy's first experience with Gear 5 was pure joy. He laughed uncontrollably, felt unbeatable, and moved without limits. But he also admitted that the sensation was strange. His heartbeat changes. His personality becomes even more exaggerated. He experiences moments of extreme power, but also exhaustion. This raises an eerie possibility. What if Luffy isn't fully in control? The fruit might be subtly changing him. At first, it's fun and games. But what if, in a moment of extreme rage or despair, the joyful chaos morphs into something far worse? Imagine Luffy experiencing true grief. What if he sees an ally die before his eyes? What if something shatters his belief in absolute freedom? In that moment, the carefree nature of Nika could flip into an unhinged rampage. Could Gear 5 have another stage 1 where Luffy completely loses himself to the power? With that, we come to our next point, the Gorose's knowledge, and what are they truly afraid of? The five elders clearly know something about Nika that the rest of the world doesn't. Their desperation to prevent Luffy's awakening wasn't just about controlling history, it was about preventing something catastrophic. They were terrified when Luffy awakened the fruit. They risked everything to eliminate him before he could fully understand his power. Saturn himself mentioned that this ability is dangerous beyond imagination. Could it be because they've seen this happen before? What if Joy Boy, the previous Nika user, wasn't just a hero? What if he also lost control at some point, unleashing destruction on a scale that forced the world to erase him from history? Luffy may be reliving a cycle that already played out centuries ago. If there's one person who understands the true nature of devil fruits, it's Blackbeard. He's been hunting for the most powerful abilities. He knows secrets about devil fruits that even Vegapunk doesn't fully understand. His own body is said to be abnormal, allowing him to wield multiple fruits. What if Blackbeard's plan isn't just to defeat Luffy, but to steal the Nika fruit? If there really is an evil Nika, who better to bring it out than Blackbeard? There's a chilling possibility that Blackbeard could take Luffy's fruit and awaken its darkest form. If he does, we might finally see the true coup destructor Nika, a version of Nika that isn't bound by Luffy's will but by someone far more sinister. Imagine a version of Nika that isn't joyful or free-spirited but cruel, destructive and ruthless. A twisted version of Gear 5 under Blackbeard's control. What if that's the true nightmare the world government has been trying to prevent? If Luffy does lose control, who could possibly stop him? Zoro. As Luffy's right-hand man, Zoro has always been the one to keep him in check. If Luffy becomes a danger to his own crew, Zoro might be forced to confront him, much like how Rayleigh stopped Roger from going too far. Shanks. He's been watching over Luffy since childhood. He knows something about Nika that hasn't been revealed yet. Could he be the key to bringing Luffy back from the brink? If things escalate to the point where Luffy himself becomes the greatest threat, it could lead to the most tragic battle in One Piece history. So the real question isn't just whether Luffy will lose control, but when. The hints of an evil Nika are everywhere. The fear of the giants and the Gorosei suggests something bigger is at play. If Nika's power has no limits, then losing control might be inevitable. Luffy is the hero of this story, but even heroes can fall. If Nika is both a god of freedom and destruction, then the most terrifying fight of all might not be against Emu, Blackbeard, or Akainu. It might be against Luffy himself. Well, the video ends here. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button like Luffy smashes his enemies. And don't forget to subscribe, because even the Pirate King needs a crew. We'll meet again with another mind-blowing video. Until then, stay awesome and don't get lost like Zoro. Goodbye.